Live and die for the Horde!
Welcome back to the Heroes Global Championship. We are watching Fnatic as they take on Expert, and this series has been quite the roller coaster. Fnatic is ahead 2-1, but we're getting ready for game number 4, and I know this guy. He's excited.
I'm having a blast. Like, I'm not gonna lie. We saw so many different strategies, so many different heroes in drafts. It's like a welcome present for me. This first best of 5 is absolutely fantastic. This is exactly how I envisioned my first day at HGC here going to be. So yeah, I love it. It's good.
Let's keep the presents coming. Which battleground are we going to? Let's find out. As a choice will be up to Fnatic, as Expert is going to take the first pick, and we are going to Shrines.
Yeah, Infernal going to be played here. So pretty standard map for the European scene. And I'm excited. And right now, one of the questions that you really need to ask yourself once again is that position of Dehaka. It's kind of interesting when we're looking at meta and how it works, because oftentimes when you're having teams that are exactly on the same play level, it's very meta-heavy bans and picks.
Sure.
But then you have like a team like Fnatic who is like this focused on globals and that good with the Dehaka that it changes the flow on the show a little bit, the whole dynamic that you have there. So all of a sudden, this is another hero that a team like Experts have to figure into their draft style when they're looking at it. With another team, you'd probably just say like, you know, Dehaka is strong, but we can let that slide here. With Fnatic, not so much.
But that's where drafting gets a lot of fun, right? That's why it's so enjoyable. Expert at the same time is trying to make their opponents play their game. It's just now suddenly they have to deal with global at the same time, and they almost had a really interesting strategy last game. I do kind of wonder, as you mentioned, what would have happened if maybe we got more of a solid DPS that could have cleared waves. Vala could have been a choice. Maybe Jaina to a degree also, with maybe some wombo combos. But obviously, Expert has thought that one through. And hopefully next time, if they do run that strategy, we can see what happens if they're actually on even footing against Fnatic.
Yeah, the big problem for them in the last game was definitely that they never really were ahead. If you are ahead with Gaslow, then for the opponent, it's much harder to come back. If you're behind, coming back from a deficit with the Gaslow, it's rough. It's really rough.
Yeah.
You're usually not in a situation where you can force a team fight on a certain area. If you set up at a tempo phase first because you are ahead in the game already, then it's easier. So the game, Fnatic just understood this very, very well and made from the beginning clear that that didn't happen. But now we are on a different map and we are starting from a clean slate once again.
Expert gets rid of the dog. No more Greymane up in the mix. There's still a Rhaegar floating around, so maybe we'll get a different puppy. But for now, Greymane will not be biting in this match. Fnatic will now have their ban now. Traditionally, again, with the front Giants, it's been Tassadar. That has been the ban for them.
Yeah, if you want to let the Tassadar through other bans that we could see, I mean, oftentimes Arthas has a high priority when it comes to, like Lucio would be another one that we have seen banned out a lot. Arthas is going to get a lot of importance on this one because you can really just establish a presence on those shrines if you have Arthas with the Howling Blast and with his Frost presence just around. But yeah, in terms of bans, Tassadar would be an option, Lucio is an option again, so let's see how Fnatic is going to run the show.
If you're Fnatic, I think you just let the Tassadar go through, because Expert is the only team that just never snap picks it. Ever, it seems like.
Yeah, they're one of the few that doesn't prioritize it that highly, but they still ban it out there. The thing is, if you have Nick around on that Tracer, I mean, this is necessarily the map where you say, okay, this is the Tracer map, because you need a lot of wave play here, but still, you probably don't want to go up against that combo. But Lucio is an immediate pickup for Expert. I mean, they don't even think about that twice. They realize that Tassadar is banned. Lucio is for them the logical consequence out of that. And now Fnatic, of course, has to answer again the questions about the globals. But this time it's a bit different from what we've seen on the last map, because this time both are still available. So the chances of someone like Team Expert picking both up if Fnatic prioritizes something else now are slim to none.
Something to think about, too, with this draft that Expert should be worried about is that Sylvanas is one of the heroes that Fnatic actually does run. A lot of the EU teams actually kind of just given up on her, except for maybe Team Liquid. But Fnatic has ran her in the past, and they currently have a 100% win record with her, so they know how to utilize that hero.
Yeah. And Team Liquid, in case of you guys did not get that memo just yet, so Misfits, the team was picked up by Team Liquid. We're probably going to echo that a couple of times here during the first few broadcasts that we have with these guys. But yeah, so just in case you were a little bit confused about that. But they indeed do that. They sometimes run that Sylvanas there. Fnatic starting with a strong comp that we have seen on the other side in this best of 5 already. We have ETC and Malfurion picked here, so Slide and Lockdown with the roots. And of course, Breeze is now on one of his best heroes. Like his ETC is scary.
The one that the Koreans actually ban out. That strong is his ETC. Now over to Expert. Vola starts to float around once again. We have seen Expert run a little bit of Goldan on this battleground in particular. He's great for clearing out the shrines, get the Horrify set up. It's really solid and not a bad early pickup. Also, usually they pick up their tank early. So Ragnaros and Tychus will be the selection here for Expert.
Tychus, usually with the bigger they are these days, and he is great at bursting down a target, which is like focusing down the front line. So let's see how that's going to work out for them. Ragnaros is pretty cool because you can just with Molten Core dominate also the battles over the shrines. That's pretty nice. And also it really helps you defending against Punishers. That's a big part of it, that you don't take as much damage from an opponent winning the objective. When it comes to the bans, on the other hand, right now Expert hasn't really picked up a frontline, and Fnatic has the next pick. So they can actually just say, okay, we're going to ban some of the frontliners out. We pick our second tank then, and we just deny someone like, I guess it could be a Johanna that we're seeing here. She had a bit of a priority for Expert, and we saw them play with her. So that might be a ban. Not quite the normal ban that you see, but in this situation, I could actually see it happen.
Oh, let's get rid of Medivh.
No risks taken here.
Poor ADRD. Yeah, in terms of tanks with Bad Bunny, I think in terms of his strengths, his Varian and his Anubrak are the next two that I actually move into.
Arthas is also still on the board, so you could think about them. The question is, okay, that's usually a Cho'Gall. I don't know, right? I mean, like, come on. They take the Tychus and bend the Leoric. I mean, this is either them. Nah, this is not gonna happen, right?
A Cho'Gall with Tychus, Ragnaros, and Lucio.
Expert is the Cho'Gall team.
And you Molten Core. Actually, I'm thinking about it. Around the Shrine phase, you get your Cho'Gall in there. You let Ragnaros help out with the early clear. You get a slight advantage in terms of numbers of minions being cleared out in the Shrine. And then you pop back to Molten Core and you just poke everything down. It's doable.
Like, they are the Cho'Gall team. And once that Leoric ban came through, I can promise you, Fnatic immediately in comms was like, guys, are they going to try this? Because Experts are known to do it.
Yeah.
It's one of the maps where they love to do it. Maybe not in official HGC games, but we have seen them play that in the past. They've played it here a couple of times, other tournaments. So I wouldn't put it past them. Let's just put it like this. It could also just be a bait. But they have now with Falstad at least a Giant Killer hero. And they have a new Barak. They let Arthas go, and now just a question. Expert, they probably were just trying to bait something here, or trying to, yeah. Nah, they can't do that. They're not going to do it.
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping too, but I'm just like no.
I'm channeling all happiness. They do
it. There we go.
The Cho'Gall pick.
It's my birthday.
So happy birthday and welcome to HGC, Calidor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Having a blast here. I like my presents. Cho'Gall, Gazlo, Provios. It's like
little bow.
We
on
have
top.
it all here, guys. We have it all.
So ETC, Malfurion, and Nubek Falstad, they actually have a really hard time killing Cho'Gall in terms of actual strength overall. Karazim is usually one of the last options, but double support Falstad to burn down a Cho'Gall. I will say Karazim can work better now because the level 16 Molten Core has been moved, or the level 13 has been moved to 16. So now you have a window of at least 6 levels to actually use 7-sided strike to burn down Cho'Gall.
Bring in Jimmy.
Bring in the Rainer?
It's nice. It's not going to happen.
The Giant Killer, I see what you're saying.
The Giant Killer combo after 13, if you have like the stacks and available, like he just bursts targets like this down. But I don't think you can make a play for him. It's just the mobility that is an issue for him.
The other option is, and this is crazy, you get Cocoon for a Nubrak and then you grab Kerrigan and you just try to first fight without the Cho'Gall being up, or you clear the shrines.
Cocoon is actually a good option, but it has never really been used. The Kel'Thur is more just like making sure that they have also like the clear here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is like Cocoon is actually a very good option going up against the Cho'Gall. That's one of the things that always interested me, that we kind of don't see it.
I feel like there is a major strength to it if you get the engage. You just dive in, you get the Cho'Gall, and then you find the Ragnaros, Lucio, Tychus. You don't care who you pick. You just get a pick.
You need to dive past your opponent.
True.
And for a lot of them, the argument is always like, yes, if we go into Cocoon, then our Nubarak is too squishy. We can't really keep him alive, and we have trouble just like running a show. So most of them decide against it. But there is a big argument to be made for using Cocoon against the Cho'Gall, just like trying to go in, dive past the opponent, Cocoon, so to say, on the way while you're passing him, jumping straight into the backline, trying to take one down before Cho'Gall comes back. But of course, if your opponent reacts fast and bursts down the Cocoon, then it's tricky.
Well, Kelthos makes sense here. You get percent damage available to you. You also get that clear on the shrines, a Flame Strike being available, the Living Bomb potential, all the positives.
Gravity Labs.
What's that?
Gravity Labs follow up. I mean, we've seen few months back, ETC and Kelthos being first picks for exactly that combo. Slide in Gravity Labs after that. Now we have a Malfurion in the mix as well. So there's a lot of tools that they have to lock a single target down. So that works in their favor. And Falstad in the early game, I would expect him to really focus on wave clear.
Yeah.
So they just can get those season marksman stacks in. And after 13, with Giant Killer, he is going to do work. This is also one of the games where I personally would think that on 20, we are going to see him go into attack speed, not even into a big round, even though that's a great talent.
Yeah,
just because
get the Giant Killer, just completely get Cho'Gall out. Because if Cho'Gall is not available for Tychus, Ragnaros, and Lucio, there's no tank there. There's nothing that he can do.
It's an interesting dynamic with that particular, because we've had that with, I had this discussion with Quacknix a couple of times actually. Not necessarily because of a Cho'Gall, but just in general. And normally he says, like, yeah, the value that you actually get out of Next Frenzy and just like trying to get the damage in is absolutely fantastic, but it's just so good of having that fly and getting isolation kills with it. But in this case, yeah.
Well, let's answer the age-old question. Are two heads better than one? Let's find out. Game number 4, Infernal Shrines, will be the battleground.
Infernal Shrines, and after we saw Gazlowe, after we also saw Probius, Expert, they grace us with a Cho'Gall presence. Blade on the Ragnaros, ADRD on the Gal, Bad Benny on Cho, Nick on Tychus, and Curson is rocking the Lucio here.
That Cho'Gall on that mount just looks like he's kind of laying down on a lazy boy or something. Fnatic on the far right, the red team will be here looking to close out this series as they are currently up 2-1 over X-Up. Smexy will be the Malfurion, Breeze on ETC. We're going to have Falstad being played by Quacknix, so watch out for those rotations as he should be stacking up that season marksman. Schwimpy on Kelthos and Wubby on a Nubarak.
Yeah, and I'm just pitying all the people that don't watch HGC today because they're definitely doing it wrong. We had some crazy drafts already, and the show just continues. So we have Cho'Gall in the game, and this is one of those maps, again, where Cho'Gall is actually pretty good. And one of the main reasons for that is that when you talk about the objective, we have single objectives every phase. If you look at a map like House of Doom, for example, where you can have 5 altars opening on the map, then you are a little bit more in trouble. But in this particular, or 4, sorry, but in this particular setup right now, you can always focus on a single fight. It's very hard to play around the Cho'Gall here.
That it is. And speaking of Cho'Gall, do remember that he did have changes as of late.
Yes.
His trait is actually fought between Cho and Gall. You can actually get more damage on Gall if Gall takes away the trait, or of course you get more resistance if you put it on Cho. Now, in competitive play, I'm assuming we're going to see the resistance picked up very often, that armor being so helpful for that Cho. So watch out for it. You'll see a little flash above the body based on which one is being grabbed.
Yeah, so at this point, there comes already an engage attempt. Wubby being pushed back by Lucio for just a moment, but they're still able to move back here. So again, one of the things that how Expect drafted this is they picked the Tychus for themselves because the percentage damage is one of the biggest threats to Cho'Gall, and they banned out Leoric. And that was the moment when Fnatic started to realize, hey, wait a second, boys, this could be a thing. One of the reasons why they picked that Falstad. So it not only offers them the global mobility, but Season Marksman is going to be extremely important for them, especially towards 13. So this is one of the things that Fnatic is aiming now for. 13 is going to be a huge power spike for them. If they can get ahead early on already, they will of course do so. But after 13, they are going to look way more to actually take Cho'Gall down.
Big engage there, going to have the knockback. ADRD is actually saving his teammate by pushing him there out of the engage from the power slide into the Gravity Labs that you're talking about. That combo, so nice save there by ADRD on the Cho'Gall. The clear begins around the minion phase. We do have Fnatic getting into 5-0. We're going to finally see Expert move forward, and I'm watching Blade. Remember, that Molten Core could be utilized to help clear out this shrine.
Yeah, right now also we're seeing a play from Shrimpy moving straight into the middle here, but gets actually intercepted by Tigers for a moment over here though. Cho'Gall moving out, and there's the kill against Kel'Thas. The intercept from Tigers and Blade on the Ragnaros, successful. They were waiting for the rotation. Very well done by them, taking a bit of a risk, paid off, and now they start to take a bit more dominant position on the shrine. But Fnatic still ahead in the minion count.
The gap can be closed by Expert though, with Kel'Thas just now spawning. All of Expert has moved aggressively to the front line. They're watching Blade here as he continues to clear out with that big massive Q he has available to him. Wubby being chunked as well as Breeze. Spexy getting a low on mana as he continues to keep everyone topped off, but with Kel'Thas joining in 31 to 31. Our two teams are tied in terms of control, but Expert makes a big splash there, grabbing a few more, and Fnatic is forced to forfeit.
And the winning moment, the kill against Kel'Thas. Very well done, waiting for the rotation, and when they see it happening, or just like waiting for Shrimpy to make that move, Shrimpy doesn't take the long path, moves straight up towards the shrine, and then the kill. So very well isolated. That was a great move by Expert, and it wins them the Punisher, even though they were a bit behind in the minion count. It's the first one, of course, so it doesn't really get too much value yet. They're able to go through most of the wall. One of the towers is still there, but it results in them netting a bit of an experience advantage and being more than half a level ahead.
And a note on there, Cho'Gall currently 0-1 in the HGC. Now, Misfits versus Expert was actually the last time Cho'Gall was played. Misfits themselves picked up Cho'Gall on game number 3 on BOE, I believe, and Expert almost made a crazy comeback, so pretty crazy history there. Blade engaged on by Breeze turns around with the Q.
Didn't we have Tricked also playing it? Wasn't that that Battlefield of Eternity game where Trick Esports
maybe you're right.
played it?
Maybe it was Tricked. It was an Expert. I lied. Misfits versus Tricked. That's what it was.
Yeah, because that was a bit of a facepalm what they pulled off there. It was a bit weird. I think they had better. It could have actually had a better impact in that particular match. So yeah, Tricked with a loss. But right now, Expert, in this case, the fast one to pick out the level 7, trying to make an engagement with AD already here. I actually really, it's unfortunate for us right now that we have the clan tag up at the front because of the way that Cho'Gall's name is created. Every time they play with their normal accounts was always bad ADRD. And that is one of the best Cho'Gall names that I've seen in a long time.
We'll
so
have to
yeah,
see if we can get that changed.
Sad that we missed out on that.
Bit of a petition. That's one of the best parts about playing Cho'Gall are the name combinations that you can get mixed up. I love, I played with Bakery and we were Trickery, which was one of my favorites ever mixed up. Okay, so Expert and Fnatic continuing here. We're going to be having our Mercenaries grab for both of our teams. Should be having Team Expert move over to the left side at some point and start to clear that out. We're having the Impalers on the bottom, though, being grabbed for now. They're going to get the pressure on the bottom and continue keeping the push. Now, Fnatic wins out on this trade. They got the Impalers in the top, which will put a lot of pressure on that top lane, and they're also playing aggressive on Blade. Looking for a kill, they will not get it, but now suddenly Blade has to hang around a little bit longer here, or he'll have to deal with those Shamblers that are pushing in.
Yeah, talking about pushing here, we have already the minion stack speaking up for Fnatic. And yeah, we're going to talk about a few of the talents in just a moment. One of the things I want to point out is that Ragnik's on the Falstad went all in on the auto attack build, did not go for the normal hybrid with a boomerang on 7, but instead we're having the secret weapon right now. So he really is focusing on attacking Cho'Gall later on. AD already just poking around the shrines a bit, but with good old Ragnaros up at the top, they're giving this up for now. They want to have the early level 10.
Yep, and it's going to be an Arcade Punisher, which is great for Fnatic. They should be able to get a 4 off of that if they do push it in well enough, unless Expert gets a 10 before then and forces it and engage. So watch for Fnatic to grab the Punisher. Let's see if they go ahead and grab some experience here. They do have to close that gap as Expert has such a strong early game, and that soak in the top lane from Blade really helping them out there. I'm watching Breeze. If Breeze goes in now, they can maybe get a takedown. The problem is there's a massive wall in the way. They have to hold back, especially with the Molten Core.
Yeah, you can't go in at this point, but them just getting some experience that already helps them to close that gap and get the level 10 themselves. Here comes also into play the just power of Ragnaros when a Punisher is moving your way, that you can delay everything. And that is actually like a pretty smart thing to do. Where does Cho'Gall excel? In the late game. And on this map, how it can really slow down pushes of your opponent. I mean, Ragnaros is still one of the best tools in that sense. So it really helps them work towards that goal of reaching a late game with Cho'Gall.
Well, 10 and 9. Fnatic about to hit 10. They soaked that top lane. They also grabbed the turrets in the middle after the Molten Core was popped. So great shot calling by Fnatic, and they will now take over this map as they're grabbing the Impalers on the middle side, the right. Takis is in the top. I'm watching the Cho'Gall here. He's going to be the one that consistently will rotate for Expert.
check out a Nubarak.
What are we looking at? Oh, they did go for the cocoon. They did it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's really one of the best things that you can kind of do. You get a 2-for-1. It's basically like being at Walmart. You go in and you drop the cocoon. You have a 5 versus 3 for just a few moments, and that time you can use to kill one. So oftentimes we don't see that used against Cho'Gath, and I talked earlier in the draft why that is. But in this case, with having the ETC next to Nubarak's side, with the setup that they're running, they will try to just run over the opponent, cocoon the Cho'Gath, and then go straight for the back line and get a kill. And this is actually where Lucio comes into play, because there Lucio has to make his play and has to make sure that they don't get that kill.
Yeah, he has to set up, he has to have the sound barrier follow-up as well. The thing is, too, is whenever either Ragnaros or Lucio to a degree walks to clear out that cocoon, a Flame Strike becomes easy for Shwimpy to hit. So a lot of hard things for Expert to deal with, but if they get through that front-loaded cocoon that does come out and lock down 2 members, Expert does have a counterattack available to them that they can move in for the engage with that Surging Fist being available on the Cho'Gath. So I'm ready to watch it unfold here. Now suddenly my eyes go from the Cho'Gath, which is usually the story of the game, to a Nubarak, because everything comes down to Wubby and that cocoon.
I love this. This is fantastic. Like just the amount of thinking that went into that draft. I was talking a little bit about the Ragnaros and why he's such important, or why he plays such an important role in this draft, just to slow the game down a little bit. But now just having all these pieces come together as we're heading into the next few team fights, it's going to be great. A talent lead, on the other hand, for Expert heading into the objective, that would really give them an edge, and a big one at that. But right now, Fnatic, they also want to have the next talent so that they can finally get more value out of Quacknix with the auto attacks, since they need that Giant Killer.
He's sharking around. Attempts to go for an Impale, does not hit ADRD, 29-10, and Expert seems to be just giving up this Punisher phase here, even with them just now hitting the talent lead you were talking about.
They were trying to get the talent faster so that they could push into the Shrine, but they don't really want to take the fight just yet, so they realize they're not fast enough and they simply let it go. And yeah, Fnatic is actually slowing it down a little bit because they want to get more experience. Now they have 13, now they take the Punisher. It's just a slight delay, but it matters in this case. And of course, now Giant Killer has been taken. And now we're talking. This is like one of the moments where we have at the top lane Fnatic making their play as the Punisher has to be defended against in the middle, and this is where Molten Core was also popped. And Nubarak, on the other hand, is still at the bot lane, so they're still attempting to get ahead in experience.
Yeah, they've been using a Nubarak as their off-lane soaker, and instead of Falstad, which is pretty solid there. You have the Mighty Guts for a disengage for your entire team, and a Nubarak has his Burrow, so he can escape if he's ever caught out. So solid lane movement here by Fnatic.
Very safe.
Yeah. They're
extremely safe at this point. They know that it could really turn bad if they don't play a safe match. If they get picked off one after another and there's a lead for Expert, then that would be an issue. But Expert is also like in a situation right now where they're really starting to reach that goal that they were aiming for. They're heading more towards the late game, and as you can see, there's not a lot of kills on the board right now. So both of the teams playing a very, very cautious game since they know exactly how this is going to unfold. And it's interesting that, oh, there we go. Cocoon is being used. They're starting to move in. Already they're going for the lockdown. Roots on the ground. The silence is in. They go for Cho'Gath. They're about to get him. The first kill against Lucio, and boom! The Ogre is dead.
Cocoon for the engage. Blade left here. He's looking to get picked off. She'll be finally being healed. And yes, there it is. 4 members down for Fnatic. That fight was clean.
Yes, it was. Clean is the best word that he could have picked there. It was actually incredibly clean. He did exactly what they were. It looked for a moment like they're trying to cocoon and go past him, and I feel like all of a sudden they realized, wait, we don't get the target behind him, so let's focus on Cho'Gath himself. Then they pulled everything out in the arsenal that they had, the Roots, the Gravity Labs, Malfurion immediately being there with the Twilight Dream, and there they get that kill. So that was very well done.
Didn't have to use Mighty Gust either, which allows them to spread out here and start grabbing the forts. They grab the one on the bottom, the one on the top there, as a Falstad and a Nubarak would start chunking it away. And in fact, Falstad should be able to focus it down. And bad news is about to pop up for Expert. There's going to be a Shrine within the next few seconds that will be available for our teams to contest over.
Yeah, it's actually really bad news because the level 16 talent gives such a huge power spike also to Fnatic right now. And this all started with them being on like the same level. They had the same amount of experience and one fight. That's why this game was so cautious at first, because they all knew that one fight might change the entire dynamic here. And they do it again. They get the kill here, this time against Blade. They have the cocoon in, great isolation, and this is going to be rough for EDR to get out of.
He's trying, and he's going to be focused down. He's going to be able to use the Twisting Nether there for some damage, but he does fall, 17 to 15. Fnatic gets 3 kills, almost a 4th there, but Kirsten will be able to sneak away without having to deal with any pressure. And Fnatic is aiming to push down this keep wall.
Yeah, and also all these kills that we're currently seeing here are just feeding into the Seasoned Marksman. And it's always like the double kill on the Cho'Gath. So right now we'll have 35 stacks, 36 on the side of Falstead. So if he gets a Seasoned Marksman, that's going to put even more pressure on Cho'Gath. It's 7 kills against 1 right now, and Fnatic is ruthlessly exploiting these situations. Have the Nubarak at the top lane, get the experience, the rest of the team pushes, and just as Cho'Gath is about to come back, make it play it safe, move back, we got enough here, we got what we wanted. Let's not risk too much.
You take everything else on the map, the Impalers. Again, you mentioned it earlier, but we need to reinstate it. Safe has been the calls here for Fnatic. Knowing that Cho'Gath is on the battleground, they have spread themselves out accordingly. The Nubarak always doing the thing that he wants on the side here. It's kind of what Wubby does, and Fnatic just continues to keep this lead. Now, Expert finally in a spot here where they could get into a team fight and be on even power spikes, the 16 to 18. But Tychus is all the way to the south, which means Fnatic is going to force this Punisher on the top, head towards that keep, get that Molten Core, maybe burn down, and then rotate into another lane. They've done it every single time. It's textbook. That's how you deal with Ragnaros, and we'll see if that will work out here. Breeze does scout ADRD. There's going to be a hammer, but Breeze will be able to escape.
Fnatic is, by the way, doing even more than that. Like, all the things that we talked about are, of course, a big part of their strategy here. But if you look at the talent choices they make, on the Nubarak, for example, on 16, we have Debilitation, and that is just a reduction in the spell power that is so impactful when you're playing against the Cho'Gath. Because usually Gal is the highest damage in the game. It's really one of those things where he puts out incredible numbers. But if you go into a situation and you started with basically taking 50% of his damage away in every single team fight, that is a big problem for Expert, who heavily bank, of course, on that output.
It's helpful against Twisting Nether, too. The big AoE damage is going to be coming from the Gaul is suddenly nerfed heavily just by Wubby hitting his E button and connecting. So watch for that. We're going to have the Blade floating around here. He's trying to figure out where he wants to use Molten Core, which should be used pretty soon. I'm watching Fnatic here. They're getting close to level 20, and Blade will be able to help clear out this Punisher.
And even with what we just said about also the attack damage, Gal still has the highest damage output against heroes in the game, 38k. And just to give you a little bit of a framework here, as we also see it, we have 15,000 on the side of Falstead. So Gal has more than twice the amount of damage, but Fnatic just was able to translate the damage output they have into kills, especially with the direct damage coming out of Falstead.
Yeah, it's some of the stories where the damage numbers don't tell the entire story. They don't have incredible damage because they haven't had to sponge damage out. They just get a kill or two and they take the map and keep moving forward. Fnatic
Quacknix
is now 20.
Sad Panda moment for me personally. No Nexus Frenzy. I can understand the appeal of just like going into the Epic Mount. It's like, it's such an amazing tool. And I feel like Fnatic more than any other team relies on the utility here. But yeah, they go into the Epic Mount and they want to get another kill. Once again, they go for Cho'Gath, and Cleanse is immediately there. Sorry.
They
Not
live.
actually. Yeah. Not quite the Cleanse, but yeah, he still gets the Unstoppable thanks to his fate. To his ability.
The Mighty Gust was actually used to stop the Molten Core from being used from Ragnaros, so overall, Expert is going to trade out pretty nicely with a lot of heroics being used. Now, there is still a saving grace for Fnatic too. In fact, they have the Mosh Pit, the Power Slide moving in, and they also have the Bolt. They can hit massive targets here. Expert getting a little sloppy right now and starting to group up pretty heavily, actually, against their opponents, just knowing that they got to the Cocoon phase. But Cocoon is a small cooldown. It's up in 15 seconds, again.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the crazy things about it. You can use it so much, and also like the setup that it gives you is pretty fantastic. Breeze, in this case, could have even like... the one thing that we haven't really seen from him too much is now his own ult coming into play, but the threat alone of it is pretty huge in these cases. So I feel for Expert, this is really one of those things. You're with your back to the wall, you're already losing way too much. You're about to maybe lose a key, but here we go. They engage, and Ragnaros is down. They're trying to go again for Cho'Gath. Breeze, there's the mosh pit. Now we have it, and this is the kill they needed. This is at least a keep. This should be core.
Could be the game here. Nick being focused down. Quacknix is going for it. He does secure the takedown. All 5 members have been burned from Expert. Fnatic moves on to the core after taking out the keep, and they will look to apply damage.
Fnatic with a 12-1 kill ratio moves in. They lost the first map. They won 2 in a row. They are about to win the match as they hammer on at the core. Experts defeated. Fnatic is victorious. And this is game GG!
Nice job there from Fnatic. They will walk away with the victory here. 3-1 of their opponents, and one that they needed. We've been talking about it this entire day. Fnatic and their morale. It's a problem that sometimes they need to work on, but coming into week number 6, the first week of the second phase, so wonderful.
And also such an important match against Experts in particular. They are the team that tries to push into the top 3. So if you lose against them at this point, then you might find yourself in a very rough spot at the end of the season. So that was an important victory. And I don't know, like, when we're looking at what Experts did here, I really liked especially the first game that they played, Braxis, the map they won, because they had such a clean control of the positioning, where they were, where they took their fights. It kind of went downhill a little bit after that. I like the idea with the showgirl on this map here. It's just that Fnatic reacted exactly the way that they needed to.
Yeah, it just seemed like Fnatic at that point, after game number 1, was like, okay, let's just play these safe games, and they learned how to get a little bit more pressure in the matches, which was so helpful and so needed. And Braxis holdout, they just never got the opportunity to go in for a hard engage, it seemed like, mostly due to the solid rotations, especially by the Sonya in that game. But nonetheless, they turned it up slightly here, and Fnatic looking much better in the last couple games.
Yeah, as you said, like on Braxis, the one thing that we talk about when we say what is Fnatic's weakness outside of the struggle that they seem to have, that blockage that they have at offline events, is sometimes they go too far. They are too aggressive. And then you look at the Braxis game and you're like, where was your kill pressure? Where was the attempt to really force these team fights? It just wasn't there. After the game, they were thinking a little bit more about their own strength. They were playing their globals much better. Global, they lacked on Braxis, and once they started to really take fights and use that global mobility that they usually rely upon, it really worked in their favor.
Yep, it certainly did. And it looks like we are ready to go. Quatnex, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Congratulations on your victory today. I want to ask you, after game number 1, what did you sit down and say to your team to make sure that you were set up, especially after losing to Aprobius?
I think like they had a better draft in that game, and we got a bit surprised because lately the meta that has been going around is pretty much the strong foreman, right? But they just abused that fact and just played from wave clear, and we can't get anything done. Like, even if we have a stronger foreman, they just wave clear and we can't walk up on the towers and so on. So I think they really did a good adaptation there and just, you know, outdrafted us in that sense. But we knew that Braxis was one of their best maps in our opinion, so we just kept it cool and said it's fine, we go next.
Awesome.
First of all, hello. Second of all,
hello.
good job. But I have like 2 questions basically. How did you guys react to not only the Gaslow, which must have come as a surprise, but also, did you expect that showgirl, or was it one of those moments where you all of a sudden look at the draft as Leoric gets banned and you're like, they just banned Leoric, they have Tychus. What do we do if they pick showgirl here? Did it happen, or were you prepared?
I'm going to start with the Gaslow one. So when they picked the Gaslow one, we're like, okay, obviously we get super surprised. We're like, oh, what the... And then it's like... so we're like, okay, but like it's going to be a deadweight pick because we just pick Liming. And then all we have to do is like control his military base. Like, don't let him build up a military base. So wherever he goes, we have to be with a tri-lane and with Liming. So we just like instantly kill the turrets. Don't make him set up the base, right? And then it should be a deadweight pick, which it was. And then we just played a decent game, you know. Yeah,
it was pretty well done. And what about the showgirl during the draft there?
However, versus the showgirl, we were like. So we were playing. So they pick a pretty standard. Now the Tychus hasn't been too meta lately, but like they picked Tychus, Rag, and Lucio, which it felt like super normal for the map. It's a good comp for the map so far. And then we just want to ban Medivh from them. And then it's like they ban Leoric. We don't think about it at all. We're like, okay, we don't mind. Like we're not gonna.
You didn't even realize it at the point.
No. And then as soon as we pick,
he's so excited.
As soon as we pick our noob, we're like. They can pick Sugar here. They can pick Sugar here. I think Smexy was like, guys, they gonna Sugar. And it's like, we panic a bit, and then it's like, oh, but it's super fine. It's super fine, because we have like Falstad with Giant Killer and so on, and we have Web, so you can, as you saw, like we have a lot of options, a lot of tools to deal with the Shogun.
We
so
gave you guys
we're
too much
fine.
credit. Like, we saw the Leoric ban, and the first thing that pops through our head was just like, hey, there is the option. And you guys took really long with that next pick phase. So when you all of a sudden picked the Anubarak and also the Falsa, we were like, all right, they really thought about this. There's the Giant Killer, and there's the Anubarak. So it comes a bit as a surprise that you got completely blindsided by that.
Yeah, like when we talk about the team and so on, and we know that it can happen, like that it can come out, but just today we didn't think about it. But luckily, the picks we took were good versus it.
Yeah, it worked out. It was really well done. So yeah, congratulations again.
Yep, congratulations on your first victory. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you about next Friday. You are taking on B Genius. You ready for them?
Yeah, of course, man.
Never a dull moment with Quacknix. Quacknix, before I let you go, any shoutouts?
Yeah, I don't have a monster can this time. Sorry.
I'm disappointed. I really thought for the first time
Every
here you
time.
would prepare something special. So
Yeah.
you let me down, Dob.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Always
next time.
week.
Next time.
Next week we'll get
I want to
them.
have a special.
Congratulations to Fnatic as they take on Expert and walk away with a 3-1 victory. Quacknix, man, always enjoy having him on for interviews. We'll be right back with another match of the day. Next up, Team Liquid taking on Trick Esports.
Terrible fate has befallen this world. Evil runs rampant, uncontested. I can stand by no longer. Die, Hellspawn! Crawl back to the pit from whence you came. I am the Archangel Tyrael, and I will defend this realm from all who would defile it. For I am justice itself.
Snitch is the major threat here, constantly keeping eyes on all 5 members of Misfit. So now that they understand, okay, well, our opponents have eyes on us, let's just make some plays here. Here comes a Moncor leyline shield, big bolted swing, so fear and smash, members dying left and right. Splendor focused down, Nurok on the right too. Gargantuan stands as the only member here for the Misfits near the court. Nurok will eventually get swung on, but Dignitas cleans up that fight almost too easily.
Yeah.
If teammates stay spread out, they can be in a spot to win the game. Remember, Molten Core available.
Yeah, and it's poking away. And Odin here doing pretty significant damage here, actually. And Dignitas, you know, they have a lack of resolve.
Oh my gosh, Glora goes in!
Jaina, Trixler, a lack of Jaina.
Outstanding play from Glora.
Your destiny ends here.
Watching out to a T, actually even was Nurok coming in, but either way, doesn't matter who's playing into Haka, Fnatic's able to take care of it.
Fnatic's popping straight to bring out the damage to deter anyone from moving in too far. Nurok will use it as a leash and be just fine, but here is Bloodlust. Chromie focusing down Nurok. He will be able to heal on up, but God, he can't even escape being slowed down. He jukes the duck. There's the drag on Wabi. Tyrael being locked on the right side. Finally, he goes down. Misfits holding their own.
You go, I stay.
The void. The big void coming in. They're trying to look for the hit and they're getting it. There comes the mosh pit. Immediately interrupted. Didn't even go off completely, but they get the kill against Falset even before he has a chance to gust.
Yeah, now look at the rest of teammate. Their health bar is so low. Howling Blast is going to connect their butts. Looks like he's going down with the mosh pit. He's going to get the peel. 3 people are stuck in it. Can they get the kill? Prismat with one. Zalia now with the last man standing here. 3 people dead. That mosh pit justing. He cannot get it on this ETC. His mosh pits are insane.
Hell yeah, let's bust up another.
Falstad is in the top, still working down the fort. The boss is almost down. Sanctification on the point, Trick.
Dedication maybe a bit too early. Can JPL get in there? He's holding it. He's definitely holding it. Zalia coming in as well. They're edging forward. Ringer Frost to pop out, but Snitch with the mighty gust. No, the boss goes over to the Misfits, but the Dignitas has chosen to fight, and they are bursting members down left and right. Tyrael gonna try and get some damage on. He will hit Rhaegar. JPL continues to live. 2-for-2 trade overall, but Snitch looking for some damage. The slowing sands. Misfits cannot walk away. Look at the Enduro anomaly. There's no escape. They're stuck in a pit. Here goes Dignitas taking out damage on Darkfall, and we're going to get the snipes here from Snitch and Chromie.
So well done.
Amazing! Every time I see it.
Welcome back. We are gearing up for our second match of the day. We're going to be looking at Team Liquid, formerly known as Misfits, as they take on Trick Esports. Caldor, you ready?
Yes, after the last series, I definitely am. Having a ton of fun here today.
Oh, the last series was phenomenal. If you're just now joining us and you have the chance, definitely check out Expert vs. Fnatic. Expert, man, throwing wrenches and the plans of draft, as they always do.
Yeah, that's, I mean, Cho'Gall, Gaslow, Probius. Anything on your wish list? I guess the Murky.
We'll get some Murky, some more Chromester. I want to see Chromie with Bye-Bye. Once you get Chromie with Bye-Bye from anyone in the HGC, they officially become my favorite team. I'll buy all their gear. I'll wear their hats. I don't even wear hats, but if you play Chromie with Bye-Bye, I'm in that life.
I know at least 3 players that would probably jump on that pretty quickly. And that's going to be expensive for you.
I hope it happens, man. Let's talk about the KDA for our teams. Let's find out who are currently the top in Europe in terms of slaying fools that are in front of them. Snitch currently at a 9.6, Smexy at a 9.2. Bakery. Flown down there and number 3. Now, support's obviously there to assist so they get those KDAs, but Snitch has been putting a lot of work there. In fact, 3 of the Dignitas boys.
Yeah, the top 3 are going the supports here. And as you said, Dignitas is way high up there. But Maynard once again cementing just his position as one of the most dangerous assassins that we have in Europe. So yeah, doing quite well. We're going to see him this weekend, of course, too. But one person on the list, Nurok, we're going to see him in the next game.
Nurok next with Team Liquid. Can't wait for this matchup. Team Liquid sadly not really having the best showing at Western Clash, but of course their league play has been dominant. In terms of standings, they are number 1 here in the HGC Europe division. They have been floating up there for a long time, almost getting taken out by Trick Esports once in week number 5, but they still held strong and are currently undefeated if you actually just look at league play. They will be taking on Trick Esports, which is number 6, and Trick Esports, it's actually pretty important for them to walk away with a victory here. You don't want to fall into that double bottom 2 slots, or you could be up for Crucibles.
Trick is definitely in a rough spot this season, and on the other hand, you have Team Liquid, and I feel with them, they're a fascinating team. It's also just because they approach things like shot calling way different than others. Normally, when you're looking at a team, you have a dedicated shot caller, you have maybe a second person that calls in-fight targets, but you usually have that separation of macro calling, where do we go, what do we do next, what's our rotation like, and you have a person that in the fights itself, it's usually the front line or a melee assassin that says, okay, we're going for this target, and then just cues it in. And with them, it's very, very different. Like, it's basically they don't really have a shot caller. So they just have everyone chipping in the entire time, feeding information, and also at the same time, them deciding, okay, we make a play right now. And that trust, that's something that grows over time. If you need to be, if you want to switch to that system, you need to be prepared to, at the beginning, lose a lot. Because you will make very, very different calls, very different ways of how to actually approach a team fight. And that they were able to just build this is crazy, because the way that this team formed was they were literally the ones that nobody wanted to have in their team. Hazorps is the has-been from StarCraft 2 that just can't cut it anymore in esports. Like, Nurok was the melee assassin that went way too deep and no support wanted to support for him because they all said just like, I can't keep that guy alive. He goes way too deep. Blumby was always just like that one tank where nobody really could, okay, what do I do with him? If you look at someone like Nurok, he was basically Chris's sidekick. And at some point, they all formed that team. And now you have one of the strongest team in Europe. It's a crazy story. It's totally fascinating.
It's crazy what you can do when you actually take a team that has one goal and just works together, even if they are a bunch of misfits. Well, today's scheduling. Let's find out what exactly you guys get to watch. We've already seen the first matchup of the day, Fnatic and Expert. Check that out if you can. Later on, North America's coming at you.
I was trying so hard to avoid the pun when you just